A lot of people bypass the land, and much of this land is for sale at very low prices. Welcome back. Now, today's discussion is going to be about land for sale at auctions. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, I've noticed from tax auctions that 20-25% of the properties that come up for auction are land. So there's quite a bit of it. So in this episode, I'll talk a little bit about that, give you some of the details, but there's a lot of land at auctions, and the regular investors that have been buying and selling and watching television and watching the internet have learned to do houses and make deals on houses. A lot of people bypass the land, and much of this land is for sale at very low prices. However, you have to know a little bit about the land. So before I finish, I think you'll understand a little bit more about the process, give you some idea about bidding pennies on the dollar and being able to sell at some pretty generous prices. Now, the whole deal is try to buy at a low price so that you have margin to sell it somewhere close to the market value or something less than that so you can sell it quickly. All right, now, I'm Ted Thomas. I've been involved in tax defaulted property for well over 30 years, and I've noticed again and again, not a lot of people bidding on buildable residential lots, not a lot of people bidding on small farms and even open land or 5 and 7 and 10 acre lots. A lot of people don't do that. So for over 200 years, these auctions have been going on. So every county, all 3,000 counties, will sell tax defaulted property. Okay, so the auctions are open to the public. Anybody can go. How do you find out about them? They're in the local newspaper. They're also on the county websites. And so there's dozens of these properties that are for sale at every single auction. All right, I'm going to tell you right now, there's enough for everyone because there's over 3,000 counties auctioning tax defaulted property. So it's been my experience that traditional real estate is homes, and then it could be small vacant buildable lots. It could also be small apartment houses, small office buildings, even small farms. All right, so all of those could be for sale, but sometimes there's a little tract of land, 6 or 8 or 10 acres. There's many of those that are available, but people don't know the pricing and they don't know how to sell them. So most investors at the auction bypass that. So I'm going to suggest that you learn a little bit more about that. So the system was all devised by the legislature in each state. And the legislature simply said, people have to pay tax. If they don't pay tax, then they're going to have the treasurer down at the local county. They're going to have that treasurer put a lien on the property. If they don't pay on the lien, then they're going to levy the property. It's going to come up to the tax auction, okay? Now, all that's created by the legislature. It's all enforced by the Board of Supervisors or the county commissioner. Now, this has been going on for 200 years, and it happened in every single county in the United States. Now, there's a lot of good properties, and there's a lot of good residential land, and there's a lot of land that can be purchased at low prices and then resold. I'll even show you an example before we finish up. Okay, now land is often overlooked. Now, the TV and the internet, they're always talking about buy houses, fix them up, and whatever. I'm going to tell you, don't pass up a lot of the land. Now, you're probably not going to fix any of it up, and you probably have to learn about land surveys. You probably have to learn about, is there water? You have to learn about, is there roads, things like that. All right, everybody's in the buy and fix it up mode. You don't do that with land. You just make sure the land is surveyed, and then you can resell it. Okay, so land is a large part of tax defaulted auction. When I say large part, 20-25% of almost every auction. So there's a lot of profitable deals where you can buy them low, then you can sell them low. In other words, get a nice margin in there. Let's say you bought it for 20 cents on the dollar. Could you sell it for 50 cents on the dollar? That's a nice margin. What's wrong with that? And even then, you might be quite a bit below the market price. So learning a little bit about this would be wise. So land for sale at auction should be popular, but unfortunately, a lot of the investors go right by that. All right, now, what happens to houses? Everybody knows about houses because they were conceived in a house, they grew up in a house, so what are they going to bid on? So they push the prices up. The same thing's going to happen on small apartments because everybody's talking about buy and rent and get someone else to pay for it. All right, so they're going right past the land that maybe they could get for 5 or 10 cents on the dollar and sell it for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. My point is, you're doing this for a business. All right, you're in a business where margin is everything. The margin between where you buy it and where you sell it, that's the key to this whole business, and I'll show you an example of that in just a couple of minutes. All right, now most properties, when you buy them, they're going to need some work, because what are we talking about? We're talking about tax defaulted property. They're used and abused. Some of them are absolutely junk. Don't buy the junk. Some of them just need paint, touch up, and clean up, and you can resell them. All right, now the real nice looking ones, what do you think is going to happen to the bidding? All right, the bidding's going to go up. The ones that look like terrible, well, you might not want to buy those because they might be junk. All right, but the land, you can look at the land. That opens up another whole opportunity for you, and it might be as much as 20% of the list. So if the list is 200 properties, you might have 40 properties that are available that could be bought land for sale at auction. So you want to kind of think this out a little bit. All right, so savvy investors learn how to resell at these auctions. Now, do you have to go to a few auctions to learn how to do that? Yes. But if you can buy it right and you got some margin and you can sell it and sell it under the market, well, then you got a good deal. So the local county government is just trying to sell the land and get the tax money. So the tax assessor is going to put a low price on it. They might start out at 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. I didn't say they're always going to sell it for that. They're going to sell it at whatever the highest bidder will pay. All right, so what's really happening? The tax assessed value is a tax assessed value, but the treasurer doesn't care about that. Treasurer wants to get rid of the property. So it might be tax assessed at one number, but it might sell 60, 70, or 80% below that, because the treasurer is going to sell it or put the price on it so they can get rid of it. Why do they want to get rid of it? Because they want to get it off the defaulted list and back on the sale list of honorable tax people. All right, the people pay honorable tax. They want that tax money. They need it, and they need it bad. What are they using it for? That's what pays the school teachers, pays for the roads, pays for the fire department, pays for the police department, pays the county employees. All right, that's the treasurer's job, is to get rid of it at some kind of price. The tax assessed value may be way up here. Well, if you could buy it down here at a lower price, how many of those would you want to do if you could get them for 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, sell them for 50 or 70 cents on the dollar? All right, it's going to be a matter of the person that understands the difference between the margin of buying at the right price and reselling it. All right, so low prices are where it's going to start at the auction. It might not sell at a low price in every single one of them. The county wants rid of the property. They want it back on the honorable tax roll. That's the main job of the county. The county treasurer needs to get that property back out on the market. So let me give you an example and show you the kind of margin and what could happen. Now, bidders that know what they're doing, they're really going to be able to take advantage of this. What are they going to take advantage of? They're going to take advantage of the low prices that the tax treasurer is trying to collect. Okay, the property might be worth a lot more than that. So you could easily compare that. You see, if you knew how to buy it right, well, then you could sell it. How would you go about selling? Could you put it on Redfin? Could you put it on eBay? Could you put it on the multiple listing? Could you use Craigslist? You could use all of these, couldn't you? You could use Trulia, Zillow, Facebook Marketplace. The people that know how to market and use media, they're going to be able to sell this property, because it might have a value way up here, but you bought it way down here. You got margin to work with. And that's what you want, margin to work with. Now, most newcomers make the big mistake of not understanding marketing and not understanding how important it is to sell property. It's the most important thing. Why is it so important? Well, if you have a property, the only way you're going to turn it into cash money to get on with your life is you're going to have to sell it. So the simple blunder of not knowing how to sell a property could be a big problem. Big problem. Unfortunately, most real estate investors don't practice that. So you need to use the media, and you need to use all the points I said before. Now, what did I say? I said Redfin. I said multiple listing service. I said Zillow. I said make sure that you use Facebook Marketplace. You get the idea. You want to be able to sell that property quickly. So after completing my course materials, one of my students did exactly what I'm going to tell you right now. He bought a piece of residential land, all right? And he bought it for pennies on the dollar. As a matter of fact, he only invested $6,000. Turned out it was 4 acres of land, but it was zoned and ready to go residential, already had water and power to the lot. All right, so what does he have to do with it now? Well, the tax assessed value was $30,000, and he only spent $6,000. So what I said before, there's a great margin between what you pay and what it's worth. So now if he does all the correct marketing things, which I've just given you, if he does that, is he going to be able to sell it? Well, he couldn't sell it right away because he bought it in Georgia. And when he bought it in Georgia, it's a redeemable estate. So that means once he bought that, he has to wait 1 year. But after 1 year, he put it back out in the marketplace and resold it for $30,000. Now, folks, he only invested $6,000. Everybody can afford that. All right. Waited the year for it, didn't redeem. Now, if it had redeemed, he would have got his $6,000 plus 20% penalty. All right. It didn't redeem, so now he's got a $6,000 lot with a tax assessed value. So he sold it for the $30,000. Now I'm going to run out of time, so here's what I want to mention. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. In the small population counties, you can plan on dozens, even hundreds of these properties. All right, in the large population counties, there's hundreds, sometimes thousands. So if you'd like to know where those properties are and how many, you can do that by going right below me and request an auction calendar. I'm Ted Thomas. I'll see you on the next video.
I made 2 times my yearly salary in that 6-month period.
It's a secure program. I wish I had known this years ago.
Don't forget, request your free gift right below me.